Second.
Any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Chris Reno. He's a partner at Cullen & Dynasty, our audit firm, and he's going to review our audit findings for this year. Chris? Let me help you. Fair enough?
Yeah. I'm playing a couple more. Okay.
I'll give you some. I'll give you a copy later.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have an extra copy? I'll take it.
Yes, please.
See you right back.
Can I get an extra one?
How you doing? Okay, I'm Chris Reno, one of the partners of Cullen & Dynasty. I am the external auditor of the village. Basically, I'm hired by the board to render an opinion on your financial statements, provide reasonable assurance that they are relatively free of material misstatements. I've handed out all the reports that we issued. The first one, which is the largest of the bunch, is the actual financial statement. There's two opinions in this report. One in the beginning, based on generally accepted auditing standards. You have an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can have. Okay. Then there's another report at the end of it, which has to do with reporting on your financial reporting over internal controls. Okay. And basically, if there were issues, we would be issuing a separate report and disclosing in that letter any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses the village would have. Proud to say this village does not have any of those, so that letter doesn't get issued, and you have a unmodified opinion, so it's clean. There's no sightings of any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, which would be like, you know, having issues closing your books, inadequate fixed asset records, things like that. So that's the financial statement. Then we also issued another report that found it's the Justice Court funds. Okay, and it's basically just a cash report as far as money at the beginning of the year, the money that came in, the money that came out, and then ending balance. And then we disclose in footnotes how much money the village brought in, that flows through to the general fund, and then how much it actually costs to run the court. So you have that report. Then there's two letters that get issued as well. The one with the bold is communication to the board as far as our audit process. If we ran into any difficulties through the audit, which we did not. And then if we had any journal entries, we disclosed what we proposed as far as recording any adjustments. And primarily the adjustments this year just have to do with the sewer treatment plant because you received some federal monies, which is a forgiveness of debt. So it was a little more complex this year, so there was more interest than you normally see with this village. In fact, I believe 2 years ago, there have been none. Okay. And then we also issued another letter, which is not about significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, but we take into consideration the comptroller's audits, and we just have a recommendation and comments as far as that goes. And it's a one-pager. I mean, that's great. I mean, I've seen some places where it's been like 14 pages when you first get there, so it's very, very clean. And then last but not least, we got issued the federal single audit, which primarily has to do with the Community Development Agency, with the Section 8 housing monies you receive. So those are the reports. I have something else I want to hand out. Oops. Shared with you last year as well. Went back to 2010 and just show you a trend as far as your unassigned fund balance.
Or what?
So unassigned fund balance.
The surplus?
The surplus that's left over. Basically, the village this year broke even, which is good. So fund balance didn't go up, but it didn't go down. That's great. Okay.
Basically, whatever we took out last year with tax stabilization, we were able to recover this year.
Mhm. Yeah,
About $100,000.
so it was like, yeah, so you operated over even, which is good, so your fund balance pretty much remains the same as it did from prior years. We're at 3.6, now we're 3.7 million, and it's roughly 30% of next year's budget, which is very healthy, so, that's great. And, so that's the audit. You know, all you have to do is accept receipt of the reports tonight. If there's any questions.
I think that so people understand the surplus piece of it, the fund balance piece of it, is what's kept us from borrowing when Hurricane Sandy hit, keeps us from having to borrow when new storms hit. It allows us in emergencies if there, we need to purchase equipment and so forth. It really, and I know Ron will tell you, the major thing it does is it gives the banks the surety that we can pay our bills. Therefore, we have a pretty stable bond rating at this point. So it seems like a lot, $3.6, $3.7 million, but it is really critical to our financial health, both for bonding, and which we will be doing this year for both the theater and some other equipment, and as importantly, our ability to take care of the needed things that happen in the village on an emergency basis. So, and what we've been able to do, and if last year, for instance, we put in $675,000 from surplus towards tax stabilization, and we were able to recover that money. Ms. Monty was able to recover that money, and she really is the one that makes sure that what we do properly. That for that, and we very much appreciate the work you do and how you go about doing it, because you are the heartbeat of what happens in the financial side of the whole way. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, any questions for Ron, Chris, Ann, anybody?
Yeah.
Sirs?
I do have a question. And I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but compared to other villages, municipalities on Long Island, for instance, where would we rate as far as audit
Financially,
goes? Yeah, financially.
better than most, I'll tell you that. And you have, you know, an amazing person who runs the department there. You know, it's a very clean village. You never have any issues as far as closing books or anything like that. Nice smooth audit. So, you know, you have a real great operation going on.
Are there some villages that are very bad shape?
Yeah. And, you know, they gotta, you know, pierce the cap, raise taxes. They don't have a handle on their financials, you know, so, you know, it's like, you know, they'll show up at year end and they'll be like, so how do we do? Which is horrible, you know, if you don't know what's going on in your village. So, anyway.
The state does, the controls officers, they give out stress levels. And Andy, what did we, about 3-4 months ago, we did it based upon 13-14, yeah, 13-14.
Right.
We were unnotable.
It was
We
11.
were at like 7%. The closer to zero you are,
Oh.
The
the
better.
better rating you have.
And
We
if you-
were at about 7%, I think it was.
And if you followed it all in the paper, there's been a number of articles about the village of Abbeville. They're well over 75, and they will probably at some point become under some state, you know, management. So I look at what these three do to keep us out of trouble and to keep us, you know, as flush as we are, and it's an extremely important thing. But to having 11.
But you're saying that Amityville would be, if with that kind of rating, when we get a 7, they were at 70?
75.
75.
Above 75.
Right. Yeah, so.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way the calculation works is, it's like a curve grade. 50% of the grade is just based on fund balance. And since you have a decent fund balance, you know, you've got a zero just right off the bat, 50% right there. Then they take into consideration the cash on hand, and that's 30% of your grade, and then the balance is, first of all, borrowings and stuff like that, so. The key thing is to have a fund balance, and you definitely, you know, stable, you have good fund balance, that's why you scored low, which is good, okay? Because what she said, closer to zero is where you wanna be. Okay.
So you're unnotable.
So we're unnotable.
I like that word. I like that.
You're not in fiscal stress, is what
Right.
the terminology is. And then there's like different levels, susceptible, moderate, and then, you
Right.
know, fiscal stress. And it is physical stress.
Yeah, they have other issues that we don't. They have a police department, they have some of those kinds of costs. But they also are in the situation they're in. And we're elected to keep ourselves out of those. Thank you.
That's
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.